Hello and welcome. So, for a long time now, I have talked about doing a video about how you set up a two PC setup as a VTuber. And I've had my second PC, my brand new one, for a little while. So I have my old machine being my streaming PC, and my new machine being the gaming PC. And that's pretty much how I divided the work. You can do it other ways, and I've played around with those a little bit, but yeah, I want to maximize basically what we can do with um, with the system. I have a screen resolution on my gaming PC that is 1440p, or technically more than that because I can run at much higher refresh rates than that. So that's an option. But that means that I have one issue. My capture card only does 1080p. I did not really think about that because all of my monitors at the time did some version of 1080. But I found out that the widescreen display would not correctly work to the capture card either because it's ultra wide. So I couldn't pair that either. So the first step to getting your content is to hook up um, your gaming PC's video card to the capture card on the streaming machine. And I use HDMI for this because that's the usual interface for capture cards. DisplayPort's what goes to actually both of my monitors, but the capture card uses HDMI. The capture cards use HDMI almost universally. I've seen a couple of exceptions, but it's pretty rare. So, what does that mean? That means basically just running one small HDMI cable between the two machines. That's it. This can handle both audio and video. Now, the video parts, because of the screen resolution issue, I have to go into the display options and specifically tell it to duplicate these displays, which will give this pop-up because I've changed the settings. And I have changed them because it is now in 1080p, which is not the recommended resolution for my monitor. But we have to use that to make this work. So for now, you get a very big picture of Tina, and you see what's on my desktop, which is actually much more cluttered than I want it to be. I want to pare that down, but I haven't done it yet. I don't really care about them being there too much. But those are the things you'll see. Now, over here, we have the audio portion. Because, see, the problem is you want to be able to hear what's on the gaming machine. Usually I use headphones for this. At least, originally I used my speakers as the playback. But, problem with this was for certain streams, I would get too much echo and feedback, and that was unhelpful. And playing around with audio levels to balance them was fine in most games, but got really problematic when I wanted to do like collabs and stuff on Discord because everyone's volume comes differently. There's no universal gain. I would love if there was such a thing, so that software could automatically adjust gain and it would just work, but it does not. So yeah, that's where this comes in. We need two outputs because we want to play back audio through the HDMI cable to the capture card, and we want to be able to hear it on the headphones. To do this, I use voice meter. There's other ways to do this, but I have just two sources, and I find it very convenient to just use this. And if I need to turn off one or the other, then I can do that here very easily. In fact, I will pull it up. It is right down here. And ta-da! You see it now. As you can see, both sources for the hardware input usually output to both devices. This does not matter though. My inputs, there only the virtual input means anything here. The virtual input is the desktop audio. and I have not split any audio to use any other sources. So there is no other audio sources for us to worry about. It just has to go to two different outputs, the Elgato capture card and to the headphones. So that is literally all I did. I said to put it on channels A and B, which is both outputs. And since there's no real audio going right now, you see nothing. Nothing. You get a little fringe adjustment on the really low band. I can't tell you why. I'm guessing that's just like some sort of interference that it gets because the HDMI cable is actually running. And yeah, it technically could be transmitting audio, but there's no audio pickup. So right now, you don't really hear anything. Now, if I put on like music on this, you would suddenly hear stuff and you would see it to both A and B sources. There's some other nice things you can do with this. You can adjust some audio effects here, the audioability even. You can make it mono or stereo and adjust those on the fly. You can adjust gain on the fly of any devices you might have, like your desktop audio, or if you had a mic in this. I don't have two mics though. I could, and that might actually be helpful at times. Now, they do have another product, which I have installed as well, which is virtual audio cables. These let you do a really easy selection of audio devices. You can tell basically specific software to use one of these cables, and that becomes an input device. On the other machine, I actually have very simple audio. I haven't done like nothing to it. Nothing. Oh, by the way, I should mention there's very low overhead with this. I have seen like no CPU usage really at all. So it's very convenient because basically this is just Windows, deciding where it's sending the audio, which it can do at very low cost, which is good because it's part of the operating system itself, and we would not want to see it actually use it too much. Now, on the other PC, I could theoretically do this a couple of ways, but the other PC actually runs most of the stuff. See, this is, I'll show you right now. We're going to fire up, let's fire up Days Gone. I'm not going to play anything, but I want it running so we can see what that's like. All right. I'll show you how the resources play out and what this looks like. I'm just going to load it up and we're going to get in the game. Nothing too, chaotic because I can't really play and do this. But yeah, we're going to show you how this looks resources-wise. This is why you use a 2PC setup. So for right now, just to make this easier on us, we're going to do this. We want Task Manager. Yeah, Days Gone is using like 17% of this PC. Oh, wow. I can't keep this on screen, at least not that I know of. But, we can move this around and just switch back over. And yeah, it spiked at like 40% before it, went to this screen where it's not playing it. But that basically means all of my power is going into this. The one downside to having the gaming PC streaming to the streaming PC is that it limits my options. I can't really separate out like audio channels. The audio has to all get routed together through one input to the streaming PC, which is why I decided not to do like the mic inputs on the gaming PC. It just basically meant that I would always have to have it go through this interface. Setting it my nice 1%. The baseline for this machine is just so low. But anyways, that's the limitation really. I can't like separate out audio tracks and do some of the things I want because it all has to go through the cable. For now, I'm ignoring all that and we're going to switch to the other PC. Oof! The Inception! So we're going to just minimize this. You're going to still see me. I can't see what's showing now. So that's a thing. But you'll see me running over here. this is how I normally look when I'm actually doing this. And you probably see me, but this is the PC that has the real resource usage in this case. Yeah. It takes a second for it to actually come up with correct numbers. But VTube Studio uses about 22%. Streamlabs is showing 0, but that is actually incorrect. Because if you actually look here, Streamlabs reports that it's using up to 30%, as low as 15%. So this is Streamlabs OBS. So I got a little extra overhead, and it doesn't all correctly show up when you look at it here. Because it's spread out, that's why you don't see this stuff here adding up to 56% usage. But there's a lot of services that run, in fact, multiple. I have more things running than I usually would. Here's OBS itself, which is doing like 15. And the overhead is basically what you see up here. So this part is the overhead for Streamlabs. Yeah, but so this is the system that does most of the work. It does not do anything special audio wise though. Let me pull that up for you. It's the PC I use for media, so it's got my old speakers set up for it, which are really nice digital audio. They actually use an optical cable, so they're very high quality as far as the input type. There's no conversion. There's no digital to analog conversion for these speakers. And here's my microphone, the Yeti microphone, which you can see doing its little thing there. And yeah, I set this to 100%, and I manipulate it mostly on the speakers end because that's just easier to adjust to. So that's a little tip if you're doing this sort of setup. But actually, let us open this, I think it is. Yes. You'll see a bunch of different inputs because I originally did the voice meter and the virtual cables on this machine. So you'll see both of those in here. But I'm not using it right now. I actually plan to, well, I've done testing too, for things like FaceRig. So FaceRig is still showing up in here, even though I don't actually use it anymore, and it shouldn't really be installed. And the extra microphones aren't real microphones, which is confusing, which is very confusing. But this is the normal mic, which is why you see it there. And I do still have voice meter on this, and of course the cables, the virtual cables. So once I eventually get this going, what I want to do is go down to here where it says advanced sound options, at volume and device preferences. Because then I can specify inputs and outputs. And I can't actually change the ones for the system sounds. That's always going to be the default. Funfish is what I actually use to run my VST. That's why that's there. I don't have much else running. It would show up in here just like all the other sources. And I could tell it, we could tell it to use a different input or an output. You can change that here, and we could make it the virtual cable. And when you make it the virtual cable, that lets you set it as a source in OBS. So if we go back to OBS, now we could go up over here and we could actually have another source. Add it as a new source over here. Audio input capture. Yeah, it would be this. Let's go about adding one. We'll just call it audio input capture. Go away, yes. Yes, you do not need to be there. But that would be how we'd add another source if we were adding another audio source. We would add it to the sources list. And it's the same whether you're using Streamlabs OBS or if you're using just plain OBS. They work the same for that. And this Inception should really stop. I won't keep doing this for too long. Still not using that much CPU usage. I'm at like 63%. And it's falling down again. it'll jump up as high as like 80. Maybe a little bit more. I've never seen it max out. Let's put it that way. It's never maxed out. Well, it's just been doing this. So, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. This machine has all the inputs. So it's the one that is, the mastermind. Mostly because this was just easier on setting up on the OBS stand. Because everything combines here. Like, if I were going to run VTube Studio on the other machine, that would actually be a bit of a problem. Because my only way of getting it here would be the capture card. And that would be awkward because, it's duplicated. So I would never be able to have myself show up. So that means the VTube Studio software would have to run on the streaming machine. It just has to, which also means that the webcam has to run on the streaming machine. And at that point, it made no sense to try to do the mic on the other machine either. It just made more sense to run it here. Now, I probably will change this eventually. Mostly so I can do it where everyone hears what is on the mic that is hooked to the other machine. I can get it set up. And then I'll have another one on this machine that is like for Discord stuff. And on the Discord end, I really only have it for like D&D nights and collabs and stuff. So it is set basically just for that sort of stuff. And I have not even touched the video portion yet. So maybe that will have a little higher cost. We'll see. But, this machine still does work. And it's not that powerful. I will actually go and show you. But here we go. This is the system settings. This is my video card. This is the CPU. Yeah, you can see even what speed it's running at. You see the memory in here too. There's 4 sticks of it because sticks were smaller back when I built this thing. But you can see the total down here and what speed it's running at and everything. It's older memory as far as that goes. This is the old system. It still does work. It still does work, as you can see. The CPU, I think, is what's really holding me back as far as it goes. Because basically, it has less cores than the new one. The new one has like twice as many cores. Like 816, I think is what the new one is. But don't quote me on that. I'd have to look, and I just closed the program. But yeah. This is the old PC. PC Coon original, which did all the work originally. Which, as you can see from this, games had to fit into this like 20 to 30% space, which is why I had issues with some games when I was doing this all on one PC. Yeah, that was why I need a second PC so much. The new PC probably could run it all and not have as much of a problem. I still need to test, and I have videos planned to test the webcam and VTube Studio on the new PC. And we'll be able to compare. I also plan to run PRPR Live as well for the test. I just haven't done it yet. I've been doing birthday prep stuff. If you have not heard, my birthday is coming up on the 6th of June. And it's going to be a big event. So, if you see this before then, stop in. But, if you've enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and click on the little notification thing. I'm bad about that myself. So, anyways, take care and have fun. See you later. Bye.